It's actually something that since basically I stepped in to Iowa in 2013, it was like always a dream. You remember Dylan Martin?
Heck yeah. Yeah.
He was a PT guy.
Yeah.
Student, I think he was a student or like a grad student, like in my first couple of years. Like he was doing CrossFit like right when you and I came to Iowa.
Yeah.
So, and he was like a regional level guy.
That was the OG days of CrossFit.
Yeah. A little bit different now, but yeah. Welcome back into the Washed Up Walkons Podcast. Justin Lima joins us once again. How are we doing, Coach? What's your personal fitness look like these days? How you still
Bro.
rolling? You still rolling everywhere?
I have, let's see. We got one day of the week I do no-gi jiu-jitsu. One day it's Pilates. On the Pilates days, I still go for a distance run. Then I have an athlete training day where it's just all sprints, jumps, plyos, some Olympic lifts, a kickboxing day, a weight training day that's mainly on machines. So that way it's like tendon health. I got a gi jiu-jitsu day, a CrossFit Fridays, as I've been tagging y'all in, and then just a traditional weightlifting day, doing either a hang power clean or a power clean paired with chain speed squats or chain bench.
That is quite the fucking week, man. Like that's
bro.
Can I get? I know that this isn't the point of the podcast, but I'm interested. What's the motive? What's the philosophy behind the grand scheme there?
Be really good at a lot of different things, and it has made me feel better in all the different areas. So like, jiu-jitsu, being on the ground and rolling has helped my hip strength. It has helped my core strength, which then also gets strengthened when I'm in Pilates and on either the reformer or when it's just the tower, or then that translates when I have to go do a bunch of freaking burpees over the bar or toes to bar, or the distance running helps for the jiu-jitsu and the kickboxing, or when I have to go run a 400 or a 200 in the CrossFit class. Like, they all help each other. And it also helps me be a good dad, because now when the boys and we want to go play flag football, we're going to go play baseball, we're going to play basketball, dad can just jump right in and I ain't got to be, too worried about things.
How old are you?
37, but I feel like I'm 27, bro. I never lost it. Now, hold on. Shout out to now if DeMarco and Cody are listening to this, and Coach Jim Reed, you were throwing me some shade back in the day, Coach. It was Fridays. We used to do our power training, and he's like, why is he still doing that? You know what, Coach? Because I still got it, buddy.
That's Justin Lima.
So there you go.
Coach Reed, what a legend.
Set on hit. Set hit.
What is it? I wish people could meet. For anyone listening who doesn't know who we're talking about, we had a guy. Where was he from? I mean, was he just Italian?
Boston.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's Italian. Jim Reed.
He's the most Italian. I mean, this guy should have just been in the mob, basically.
Yes.
Never left the complex. Me and Kevin have talked about him on the show before, and he talked with that accent and that grit. He'd walk by the meeting. The linebacker room was right across from the lounge, and so when they'd go on break, he'd walk into the lounge. Kluver, why don't you fucking do something for once? Playing pool in here, playing PlayStation. Oh my god!
I'll never forget one of the best stories about Jim was Brian Ferentz. It was one of the days where it was like snowy out, whatever. And Brian's like, yeah, Jim texts us all at like 4:30, like, hey guys, it's icy out. Be careful when you drive. It's like, Brian's like, really? We didn't have to be until 6. Like, what point? Like, Jim, we get it. Like, you're dedicated. Like, we get it. We get it. Like, bravo.
You got here at 5. I've watched film for 3 hours already.
Yeah, it's like,
didn't leave the complex. I don't know if he ever slept. I mean, I think he ended up eventually going back and being the DC for BC.
Yeah, because then we saw him at the Pinstripe Bowl, and everybody was all excited to see him.
Legend. Great guy. What's the so you're doing it all? 37. Feel good?
Feel good.
What do you weigh?
Me, 255.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You're still. I mean, how tall are you?
6'3".
Okay, so yeah, it's really not like you're not like crazy beefy.
Still doing some grappling too, like I said, not only with that stuff, but like with the athletes that I train one-on-one or even with Centennial, we're teaching them all the contact prep stuff right now because they need to get ready for it because it's just crazy if they didn't do any of that and went into the season.
How are those CrossFit Fridays?
They suck, and that's why I do them with the class because I just wouldn't do those things that I've sent you to Nick. I'm like, you all are crazy that you do this for fun. Like, even last week, I'm about to say, like, whatever we did, we worked up to a heavy squat, and then we did AMRAP wall balls paired with pull-ups on every start of the minute of strict pull-ups. And it's like, even something like that, like, y'all are just on a different level. I'm trying to get there.
It's taken so long to get there, and I don't know if it's worth it at all. But some of the stuff we do, there was a fun workout that it was on DeMarco's programming. Me and DeMarco run the same program that him and another guy program. They write it. And the piece was like such a trap piece for like a Division I football athlete or an explosive athlete where they would look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, I could crush that."
Mm.
And they would just get annihilated because it was 3 on, 1 off for 4 sets. So 12 total working minutes of 10 cal echo bike, 10 dumbbell snatch with a 75.
Mm.
And it was just AMRAP in those 3 minutes, and then you rest a minute and start over, and you hit four rounds. And I'm still beat up from it. It was brutal.
I don't think people appreciate how hard 10 seconds on an echo bike is.
So for your average person, like your average person can't snatch a 75-pound dumbbell, first of all. The average person is gonna like maybe get through 10 calories in a minute on that. I was pulling a 10 and 10 per minute.
Huh?
So we're at me and DeMarco are at stupid levels of fitness right now. Just you have to neglect your family and your everything else to get here. And it's just my body hurts. We're fit though. I can do a lot of stuff.
There you go.
We're gonna talk about spring ball today. We're gonna talk about the winter phase leading into spring ball. Some other things too.
There you go.
Some 1 rep maxes or some calculated 1 rep maxes.
Yeah, something like that. There's something. There's something.
I want to quickly go back though to something that happens in the winter. Usually happens in the winter. It's the Golden Hawk.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it before.
No, that'll happen at the end. This will set the foundation for it.
Okay.
Because you guys would still have an opportunity to PR in bench, clean, and your sprint stuff after spring ball.
It's through the spring.
It's through the spring, but this is the end of that heavy strength emphasis. Yep. And this is where, so like, let's say for your average listener right now, the last 8 weeks, they were getting really ready to get really, really strong. And then towards the end of it, they had to stop chasing strength a little bit. So that way they could chase conditioning and agility to get ready for spring ball. So the big primary emphasis was strength. So probably going to have a lot of PR set and clean and squat and bench. You're not going to have that when you're in spring ball because you're playing football. That's priority number 1. After spring ball, they'll go into a peak speed phase is what they call it. And during that time, because there is no worry about football, you don't have to get in shape. You can reattack certain variables of speed. So a 10-yard dash, a vertical jump, it's not a pro agility. I hate the word agility in there when a 5-10-5 and there's no reactant. So the short shuttle or the 5-10-5, and then your hang power clean. Somebody could still set a PR then, but chances are your squat and bench is going to get solidified now unless you can do something kind of miraculous.
There's a lot there. So it goes through basically like the last day of school, like before you go off to summer break.
Yeah, before finals, because then that way it gives us the strength staff time to put everything in your individual file, give it to you, give it to the coaches, update everything.
The Golden Hawk, for those listening and don't remember, is basically it's not just for freshmen, is it?
No, they're just more likely to get it because they're training age. So, listeners out there, think about a new tube of toothpaste. If I open up a brand new Crest 3D White, whatever,
It's
you,
exactly what I use, by the way.
me too. Get it from Costco. Great price.
Delicious.
Um, you touch that thing anywhere, toothpaste comes out, right? Like that's a young athlete. They go into the weight room, they're going to get stronger because of mainly the neural adaptations, but they're just have such growth potential. So that's why you're saying it. Now, as that toothpaste gets closer to the end, you don't throw it out just because you can't touch it at the end and toothpaste comes out. You kind of wheel it and kind of, crease it and you get really specific. Well, that's how you get specific with training to get adaptations out for a more advanced athlete. So that's why it could be a little bit more difficult for a more seasoned athlete to get a PR. But then you also have to think, well, who's the person that's setting the PR? Is it is it a expected PR? Because you just told me, hey, I did 10-10 in every minute. What if I was like, all right, Kluver, now in order for you to PR, it's got to be 15. And you're like, dude, this is not possible. Like
Yeah.
it has to be smart, blah blah blah. So I'll stop.
The amazing analogy, by the way, the the tube of toothpaste analogy is perfect for exercise and specifically more so being an athlete. So basically, yeah, the Golden Hawk is essentially how many it was squat.
Yeah, and that's the weird part too about it. So I think like it might even be body weight, but it was like body weight, your vertical, your power quotient, which took into body weight into your vertical jump. So anybody listening out there, this takes into account if let's say Tyler Kluver was a inside linebacker and he weighed 200 pounds when he got there, and he gets up to 250, so he can play big linebacker in the Big Ten. And his vertical jump was 30 at 200 pounds, and now his vertical jump is 29 and a half. Well, you could say he got less explosive because he's at 29 and a half. Well, he added 50 pounds of weight. Power quotient is a formula that takes the square root of body weight times the square root of the jump. It's not perfect, but it works. It's not as good as there's other options out there. Mainly is the Sayers equation, but that takes a little bit more math, so it was not used. So power quotient, your 10-yard dash, we didn't do a fly 10. That would have been nice. A hang power clean, a squat, a bench. But again, now we're talking about how are those numbers calculated? Was it based off of a cluster, a AMRAP versus actually doing the thing? Your pro agility would give you all of your things, and you knew what your goals were before, because that's getting back to how we talked about how Doyle was like, hey, I wish I would have had my meetings with the guys in the summer when the minute they got there rather than in the off season. So during that off season January meeting where us assistants would meet with whoever our assigned group was and Doyle would meet with the whole team, part of our job was to hand out that sheet to everybody and say, hey, this is where you've been at. This is where we're expecting you to go. This is how we're going to try to help you, blah, 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 blah. So everything was clearly communicated and handed out.
It was like squat, clean, bench, power quotient, vert, 10-yard maybe.
Mhm.
Pro. There's like 7 or 8 different things. And if you hit, it wasn't just a PR either. It had to hit like a specific PR. Like you guys set let's say my vert is 30. I couldn't just go 30 and a half. Like there was a number you had to hit. It's like you have to hit 31 for it to count for the Golden Hawk. And if you hit all 7 or 8 out of 8 in a specific year, you were a Golden Hawk. I was not a Golden Hawk. The freshman year is the easiest time to do it. And I've talked about it before. I just didn't sleep my freshman year. And turns out sleep is crucial for getting stronger and recovery. So I never was a Golden Hawk. Probably one of my, if I was going to call it a regret, that would be one of my regrets, is I just didn't understand that back then. I don't know how I was that dumb. But 18, 19-year-old kids are dumb. I mean, and it's college and there's distractions and there's Netflix and it is what it is. So a lot of guys probably knocking off, especially the younger guys knocking off those. It's the first real time. Yeah, it's the first real time like the freshmen like go through it. And there was some ridiculous numbers posted on Twitter that some all-time marks were set. So, there's 2 record boards that sit in the and Coach Lima here has talked about how he would wipe the record boards clean, which I'm against because my name's on the record board. But, uh, basically speed and agility, yeah. What was it? Pro
They called
agility.
it performance indicators. So, and the worst part about it too is they wouldn't update the 40-yard dash, even though the 40 stopped being tested after spring ball, which that's a whole nother sidebar that we can go down. But it was the performance indicators were one record board. So
I don't even remember ever doing a 40 while I was
correct,
there.
because you were older, right? That's the whole point. Like after spring ball got extended. So because spring ball got extended, peak speed was shortened, and coaches, I don't know who, made the decision that it's not safe to try to run a 40 with less time. I disagree. And we would do 40s at Towson. But anyways, so the performance indicators are just your on field mainly stuff. So it would be vertical jump, 10-yard dash, and the pro agility.
Yeah.
I'm not calling it that, the 5-10-5. But
Why
those 5 things. It's not
why
agility. It is, where you're changing direction. It's not. It's the 5-10-5, or it's the 20-yard shuttle, or it's the short shuttle. Like it's not, there's no agility involved. But people think it. And so like
you don't but even if you don't that's interesting.
you're not reacting to a stimulus, therefore it is not agility. It is change in direction skills, which
is
is
that
why
is that the
a great pro agility runner, you are the definition of it. You and Drake, great at that drill. You'd get shook if you had to try to tackle anybody in an open field, right?
I was less good at that.
Okay, but you could do the pro agility drill. So it wasn't an agility measurement. It was a drill where you pre-programmed and knew, all right, I'm going to run 5 yards, change direction, 10 yards, change direction, run through. So that's why it's not agility. It's change in direction.
Is this I'm genuinely curious. Your definition of agility requires the reactive component?
Not me, Nick DeMarco. Like in strength and conditioning, like if it is not reactive, it is not agility. It is change in direction, like
So
in the literature.
okay. That's interesting that it's considered that way because the basic definition of agility is just ability to move quickly and easily.
Yeah, well, they're wrong. I don't know whose definition that is.
That's Oxford.
Yeah, Oxford can go shove it because Oxford has never actually done it. Like
So, but doesn't so interesting.
like
I just
the old, like, because and then this whole misguided notion that, oh, you can't do this world in strength and conditioning where it's like you can't do it. There's another redundant word, reactive agility. If I call them squatty squats, you're like, what is wrong with you? Well, reactive agility versus programmed agility, that doesn't exist. Yet there's people out there that believe you have to do programmed drills before you can do reactive. Well, that makes no sense, Tyler, because you're never going to be perfect at any of those things. Athletes are never perfect when they sprint in a straight line, yet people let them sprint in a straight line. You can do very simple mirror drills before you're great at changing direction. So I did learn this eventually from guys like Nick DeMarco, Keir Winham Flat, Jeff Moyer, Zach Daycant, Terrence Kennel, the coaches that are inside Strength Coach Network that are like, this is what it actually is. Sean Mishka, or another name. Like when you dive into what the research says, like this is the reality of it. Just like people are wrong too. There's athletic trainers, and here's a research study on it right here from Francisco de Villa et al. In 2020.
he just pulls the paper right.
This research article, like Tyler, if you are running and I push you on the field and you get an ACL injury, that is classified, again, Oxford would call that a non-contact injury. No. There was contact. It was upper body perturbation. So now it's an indirect contact, direct contact, or non-contact, because it took people to finally realize, wait a minute, the medical staff is wrong when they call that a non-contact ACL injury. So you have to be willing to push against the grain sometimes when things are wrong.
The medical staff would classify that as a non-contact,
100%.
Even if you got pushed up.
Correct, because it wasn't direct to your knee. Nowadays,
really,
they will call that a indirect contact.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
But again, that's where back in the day, if you want to say, well, back in the day, that is not. It was, I pushed Tyler Kluver. Tyler Kluver tears his ACL, non-contact ACL injury.
I guess with the agility thing, and again, very, very basic. I've always thought of like, maybe I use the word quick. If you're fast, for like we're talking layman's terms, like maybe some of the people that are listening to the show, like, are you fast? That's more straight line. Are you agile? That's more like change of direction. But I guess, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I've never considered agility, or I've never heard anybody use agility, which is why I'm so, because I listen to a lot of strength conditioning, a lot of fitness, like all these things.
There's a lot of people that are wrong out there, brother.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody classify agility as having the reaction component to it. It's
Yeah,
cool.
like I said,
Um,
DeMarco's the one that kinda opened the door to me with it, and, yeah,
I will say, I'm still pretty agile.
sure you are.
I'm better at just change of direction. Some would say the goat. Uh, but I'm still pretty agile for what I looked like. More better than I looked. So anyway, you do all these things, and do you like the Golden Hawk? Did you like that concept as a goal? Because here's my opinion on it. I loved it for the freshmen because it was pretty attainable, and maybe I'm just a pussy. After freshman year, these things felt impossible. And if you got 1 or 2, it was like, holy shit, dude, you achieved one of your Golden Hawk. Like, you didn't just PR, you got one of your Golden Hawk marks. Like, you got that much better at one of these things as a junior, as a
Yeah,
senior. Nobody was getting 7 out of 7 or 8 out of 8. So I always thought it was like, why are they giving us this goal? It doesn't really seem attainable as an older guy. I always thought it just kind of should have been a freshman thing, and then we should have like restructured the goals. I mean, we had plenty of goals. It's not like we needed more, but what did you think about it?
yeah, I agree with you on that because it's some of the goal is like, why? Like, I don't even need you to I actually don't care if you don't PR. If you, Tyler Kluver, are already, or let's use, Josie or anybody. Like, I don't need you to get, if you're already let's call it a 520 squatter. I don't care if you squat 530. I legitimately don't care. I'm actually okay if you go down to 520 or 515 or 500 and you get better in other areas. So that's
Or,
me personally.
or even better, like put four plates on the bar and move it really fast.
Correct. And that's, to me, that's why I took the record board down at Towson and why I would at Iowa and anywhere I go, because the legitimate only record that matters is our win-loss record and our win-loss record against top 25 programs and good programs. That's what matters.
Shitty record, by the way, in the last 3 years. Haven't
Correct.
haven't beat anybody in the top 25 in a while. I almost forgot to input this. This is from last episode. We had a glowing review of the last episode we did on the Hawkeye Championship.
Nice.
Just finished the Hawkeye Championship episode. This one with Lima was incredible. The in-depth look at this and what it meant to building the successful teams I watched play at Iowa when I was in college speaks volumes of how good those teams and future and past teams of Iowa football were, so consistently good and tough. Very tight-knit community of guys who fought tooth and nail. And then he adds, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't make it through all that, but
Yeah.
I do my hardest. I try my hardest.
That's awesome.
So
Appreciate that.
they love that last episode where we went deep. So let's get to these weight room records. It came out, couple linemen broke all-time marks for, I think, tackle and center. Yeah, Logan Jones is a center. Put up what I'm pretty sure. I don't think Ray and them have decided to go to a true 1RM. Maybe they have. I don't know. 720. And Jennings Dunker, offensive tackle, who's just I mean, he's an actual building. You go to Chicago, go to Michigan Ave, downtown Chicago, look up at one of the buildings. That's our tackle in Jennings Dunker. He's a savage. 685 or 695. And then some freshman linebacker from Monticello, Iowa, who small town Iowa folk have come out of the woodwork and decided, like, have informed me on who this kid is. Preston Rees, a projected 1RM of 630 pounds as a 18, 19-year-old linebacker. And then there was one more on there as well. That is I don't care if it's a 5 rep max or a 1 rep max. We'll get into the nuance of it here in a second, but those are ridiculous numbers, coach. Those are insane. Uh,
Yeah.
they are so big. I can't even. I just deadlifted 475 the other day for the first time in my life. It's the highest I've ever done on any lift ever. Like I've
Hold
never.
on. 475. Okay.
Yeah. And this freshman is over 600 projected, which means he
Oh
probably.
yeah. So here we got Logan Jones school. It said Logan Jones 705, Jennings Dunker 685, freshman inside linebacker. Yeah. 630.
Crazy.
Jackson Oath, outside linebacker 575.
Those are some numbers, man.
Uh,
You don't seem impressed.
It's not. Listen, I'm first of all, I'm not here to say that these kids are not strong. I'm certainly not here to say that.
You just question what it means.
I question what it means because it should be questioned. And because okay, if you look at the post that you said, and who's the kid with the red hair?
Jennings Dunker. Yep.
That's Jennings Dunker?
Yep.
So yeah, Dunker
He's our right tackle.
And which one's Logan?
Logan Jones is the center. Yep.
Was Logan did Logan have a picture?
He might have. He's number 60. Kind of like a dirty blonde hair.
Because the reason that I'm asking these questions is when you look at the pictures of things that were posted and you have the knowledge that I have of working there and having the lift cards. So like this, maybe he's a friend. This kid here, 1, 2, 3, 4 plates. So he's got 460 on the bar, but there's a tendo not on that one. Okay, so that kid probably did some reps. The Jennings Dunker kid, so he's got 605 on the bar.
Yeah.
Okay, and he has a tendo on it,
Yep.
which first problem should be a Vitruve unit instead because it can incorporate and not be on lift cards instead of iPad, but we'll go down different rabbit hole. Anyways, VBT's on it. If I look at a lift card from when I was there, we used to do this with you guys during a cluster set. And so what a cluster set is to our listeners is you do 1 rep, you rack the bar, and the VBT will say, hey, you moved it at whatever speed. We will have a certain speed that the set will get ended if you get below a certain speed. Now, the fact that it is a uniform number across the board, we can dive into a rabbit hole as to why that's wrong, especially when you have only 120 athletes and you have 6 strength coaches. So we
number across the board, meaning
like if 0.3 meters per second, because me, Justin Lima, and you, Tyler Kluver, you might be able to grind out a rep that I couldn't.
Sure.
So you can individualize it better when you have individual training things. So again, we're going down different rabbit holes. But my point is, this kid did 605 for a rep, racked it, waited at least 20 seconds. Now, these 20 seconds, does it start when he racks it? Does it start when he stands up? Does he immediately go back under the bar when it's time? Does he take it? Now we're talking 30 seconds. Okay. So maybe the rep takes you, let's say at best, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Let's call it 6. Okay. So you're working for 6, you're racking it. Let's on the high end assume he's got about 30 seconds. So it's a 1 to 5. Work to rest. I'm not saying it's easy. Again, I am not here to say it's easy, but to squat 605 for singles, cluster style, and then say that his max is 685. You do the math on that. So if I take 685 divided by 605, 1/3. I did that wrong because of my brain. 88%.
Because I did that wrong because of my brain.
So 88%. So realistically, he should be able to do 605 for 5 reps in a row. Okay. So think about this. He probably did that maybe 8 times, which again, still very impressive. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
But if you, Tyler Kluver, what is your best 200 meter time in a CrossFit thing when you time it?
If I'm just running like a straight up 200 as fast as I can.
Yep. What do you got?
I 20 I don't even know. 26?
Okay, we're going to take 26 into 200. 26 times 8 is 208 seconds.
Yeah.
Divide that by 60 because it's 60 seconds in a minute.
Mhm.
That's a 3.46 mile pace. Would it be
Oh,
inappropriate
yeah,
for me to say that you
okay.
are a sub 4-minute miler
I get
because
where
you can run a 200?
yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah, it's you're getting in the weeds and the calculations are I understand where you're going. You're like, okay, if we're really gonna talk about his true 1 RM, we're
Or
the
even a training max that's safe. Like
yeah,
seriously, like that's where it's your clusters are designed to help you get stronger
yeah,
to then be able to, and like, so that's where it is, because now when you have these inflated numbers and this kid has to go put, so now his new training max is 685. All
yeah.
right. And we're gonna like, so he's gonna have to hit 80% in training at some point. All right. So 685 times 0.7 is now 480. So he's got to be able to do or that's 70%. Sorry, 685 times 0.8. He's got to be able to do 545. Should be able to, and we've said it before, gun to head, 8 reps, no problem. So,
Yeah.
and so like now you start talking about, okay, let's talk about what's going to happen with these dynamic effort reps. So he's going to have 685 times, they're going to start him at least point at 60%. So he's going to have 411 on the bar plus bands. So that's where it's like you start, when you overinflate it, athletes are training at a max that is not their real max. And therefore the intent is not the real intent, which again gets back to why using VBT on all strength training, but it's not as accurate, and you're putting an inaccurate load on the athlete, which at the end of the day, our job is to keep them safe, get you on the field. So that's why it gets me all worked up.
Yeah, it affects future training,
Massively.
which I always thought that was always like this joke, this running joke on the back end of we'd go home from max day and you're like, yeah, I set a PR. No idea what the next cycle is going to look like when I step it. Like now I'm going to have to hit like, and the problem about that is like, you're not just you're not just a weightlifter. Like you're a student athlete who has it could be practice, it could be this. And so the next time you step into that 6 or 8 week phase and you're like, okay, now you've got to wait on the bar week 1. That's like, holy shit. I don't know if I can get this. And we're supposed to go up from here.
Correct.
Yeah. So
That's why. That is why. It's not like, because that right there is why.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. They're going to need a lot of protein to recover from those workouts.
They getting these proteins from the Iowa Egg Council?
They sure could, man. They sure could. Iowa Egg Council. Not only that, we're thanking a couple different sponsors. This episode is going to be it's going to come out just in April. So not only are we thanking the Iowa Egg Council today, but we're also thanking Eagle Point Solar.
All right.
Justin,
I got my analysis done.
this is no bullshit. Justin texts me immediately after, not maybe last podcast, but the podcast before that. Or no, it was last podcast. And he goes, he literally sent me the thing where he had submitted his form for the free solar analysis. Eagle Point Solar, they're just trying to save you some money. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. They're going to educate you about the solar process, why it's better for you, why it could save you money, how it fits into your household, your house, which side of the house the solar panels are going to go on. They got installations all over the Midwest, mostly Iowa. They got offices in Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Des Moines. Could be wrong about that. They're all over the place.
Yeah, Chris texted me yesterday. I'm going to be speaking with him later.
If you do the free solar analysis, again, you just send them your energy bills for the last 12 months. They're going to give you a little rundown. $200 Amazon gift card.
It's a no-brainer to me.
Free. I just spent $78 yesterday on Amazon. I could have used that. But yeah, shout out to Eagle Point Solar. Shout out to Iowa Egg Council. The boys at the complex, they eat a lot of eggs. The egg prices are coming down too.
Amen. Amen.
Do you eat eggs every day?
Every day, no. But my wife, she's a rock star where again, my brain, like I said, I don't like to think. This is the tism side of me, like we've talked about before.
I don't like to think.
I don't. Bro, I wear the like. I don't. I don't like to think about unimportant things like what I'm going to eat for breakfast or food. So Megan will make. This week she did overnight oats and a bunch of mason jars for the week.
Ooh,
If we're gonna have eggs, she'll make like a egg casserole at the beginning of the week, so that way it's like, nope, this is just what I have for breakfast.
little egg bake, some bacon in there, some cheese, some veggies
Mm-hmm.
in the mason jars. Love that. Avoiding the plastic forever chemicals.
Sure, I get them from a K cup, otherwise that I just had with my
Yeah.
coffee earlier. So,
Dude, my coffee machine broke.
ooh,
Didn't have coffee this morning. And
sorry.
it's at that point where you realize, like, oh, maybe there is a small dependence on this.
That's not a small, it's just dependence. But I'm going to quote Marshall Yonda. So I mean, I was so lucky. I got to train Marshall Yonda one-on-one and Riley Reef. Sometimes when the two of them would come back together, like as a young former O lineman, I'm like,
Couple decent
yeah.
athletes.
But Yonda, so a lot of the times sometimes he would train with the group, but a lot of times he wouldn't. He'd train by himself because he'd come back earlier or stay later. And he would sometimes train Monday through Thursday because he'd take like a Friday fishing trip with his brother-in-law. And he'd always tell me, he's like, yeah, I drink a big thing of coffee. He's like, everybody has a vice. Don't tell me you don't. He's like, so if mine's coffee, I don't care. And I kind of agree with him on that.
Yonda, somehow not a first ballot Hall of Famer this past season.
Doesn't make sense to me, but
again,
we said it earlier. There's people that are wrong everywhere. So
it's true. It's true.
Like the guy, anybody listening, Marshall Yonda played right guard. So that means his left arm is his inside arm. He tore that. Yeah, he tore his left rotator cuff muscle. And instead of being like, oh, I'm not going to play anymore, said, hey, move me to left. So my right arm is my inside arm and is stronger. I'll keep playing football and delay surgery.
He did that?
Look it up.
Holy shit.
Uh-huh.
That's a hell of a story.
And like, bro was ranked 44th in the NFL Players 100.
Top 100, yeah.
Like,
as a guard.
As an O lineman.
Yeah.
The fact that people even know who you are. And again, a great story about Marshall Yonda. I wrote a blog about it, but Yonda told me. So again, I get to have all these special moments. And Yonda transfers. He gets like called McDonald's because he used to smash McDonald's at his JUCO. Anyways, shows up late.
Wait, hold on a second. Yonda's from a JUCO?
He was a JUCO. Yeah, he only played.
I'm fucking uneducated on this, man.
Oh yeah, so he came from a JUCO, and he'll tell you this. He used to smash McDonald's, and like so.
Same.
Yeah, Doyle used to give him a hard time, like during his visit, like, hey, you're not going to be able to eat like that anymore. And this was when, oh gosh, what is the guy's name? He's now at Oklahoma. He was at Vandy. He was at Nebraska. Can't remember his name right now, but he was Doyle's assistant before. Anyways, Yonda was late one of the first couple days in week 1, like maybe Tuesday, and he like gets ripped, does whatever. So then he like, I'm not going to miss, 2 in a row. So like, make sure he gets there super early. Well, they trained at a different time on Friday so the kids could go home. So he showed up 15 minutes late to what he thought was 15 minutes early. So he's late 2 times in his first week. And is like, I'm in the doghouse. I like, but just work. Hey, okay. Like they care about me because they're talking to me. They still care about me, and got ripped, but turned out to be again awesome. Yeah, he was 37th overall best players voted on by the players in 2016. 8 times Pro Bowler, 7 times All Pro, Super Bowl champ. Like
stud.
Yeah, man.
6'3", 305. I pulled him up. North Iowa area.
Anamosa, I want to say.
Yeah, from Anamosa, Iowa. Went to North Iowa. He went to Nyack? What?
Uh-huh.
Did they even have football?
I don't know, but he had that unbelievable blindside block that he was kind of shaken up after that. He was shaken up after about it.
He killed a human.
Almost.
He was shaken up. He was
He
was like, oh shit, I don't feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He doesn't really like to talk about it. Like seriously.
Really?
Again, this is all since
Is
the
that
last
is
time.
that guy is that guy like did that guy take permanent damage from that or
I don't know, but I haven't talked about it with him since 2017 ish. So yeah, he didn't like to talk about it.
stud? He was like when he lost weight like in 1 year after he retired, and everyone was like, Jesus Christ. And then Blythe hit me up like after he retired last year, 2 years ago, and was like, dude, I've been talking to Yonda, I got a Peloton. Like, what do I have to do? And so I helped out Blythe a little bit, but it's funny, those linemen, they're like, okay, I need to get rid of this body immediately.
Speaking of
You were one of
yeah,
those guys.
speaking of Blythe, I'm going to see him tomorrow.
What's he doing? What are you doing?
Greg and I are
You gonna tackle him?
we're driving to Williamsburg because there's a high likelihood that Centennial will be getting a new weight room. Williamsburg just got a brand new weight room. They're a
Oh,
power lift company. So
that's fun.
we're looking at a bunch of different power lift rooms that had been done in terms of being able to bring research back to the AD of like, hey, this is a good layout of a room. I talked with Ike about being able to go up to Cedar Falls, but we're going to take a tour of the eastern side of the state because Greg and I are going to the Iowa football coaches,
Oh yeah.
the high school clinic that happens tomorrow. And so anybody listening to it now would have been this past weekend.
The getting to like build a layout for a weight room is like strength conditioning coach drugs.
I mean, the fact that I got to do it for that room that we had, like build like not only just the plans that I think we had like 45 rounds of it in that weight room that we eventually did, but then like the X's and O's, like we actually, okay, me and Joel and Cody moved that weight room from the old
Yeah,
Jacobson building and like moved all the physical things
that's
into the new room. And then it's like, all right, you got all these dumbbells. Like, hey, we thought this would go here, but like, where should it go? Here's a logistical thing that nobody thought of until I very proudly realized this when we were at Iowa, and you can confirm this. So remember how we used to the crash bars were those like dishes that were really big and wide, really, really long.
yeah,
Well, when we would drop a barbell on them, because the poles at the end of for like the fives and the tens would fall off. So that's
yeah.
why we had those little like things that were installed to keep them from falling off.
Mm.
So it's like little logistical things of like, okay, how are we going to lay out the room where we put the dumbbells? It's fantastic to be able to do stuff like that. And I'm excited to be able to help Greg do
It's
that.
like a fresh weight room, new equipment, new new weights, new barbells. Oh, it's yeah, that's just like I just I just placed an order in Rogue Fitness yesterday.
Hmm.
Had some gift cards that had built up and I got myself a new barbell. I'm just going to unbox it and just stare at it for an hour.
Now you
Um,
understand why people like Prada shoes or bags, whatever, right?
oh, I fully get it. It's whatever you're into, like something new and untouched and like perfect. Oh, amazing. And then I'll do some CrossFit workout where I drop it on the ground 100
Mm-hmm.
times. What is the you go through those 8 weeks. I think, and this is maybe something for like your average person, like what is the goal? The biggest overarching, we talked about how it's time to get strong, right? This is the time to get strong. And I think generally, like for those listening, the reason because of that is you're not going to do it in season because it's very high CNS. Like you have to grind, and you're not going to grind yourself out of like your playing battery. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do it during spring ball because again, similar, like football is paramount. We just had our last podcast. Kevin and I talked about Coach Ferentz's pre-spring address. He's like, this is pure football time. It's when we get to focus on football. So that's you are a football athlete first and foremost. So that basically leaves two areas of space. It's either before spring, which is those 8 weeks of winter, or the summer period, end of spring through summer period of like, when do we get strong? And the time that's closer to the season, you want to focus on the conditioning part, which leaves those 8 weeks before spring, like, hey, this is our peak strength phase. But generally, like, is that all the thing we care about most? Or is there a better way to describe those 8 weeks of this is the true outcome that we want for these athletes? Because like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, part of that is we need to be ready for spring ball too. Is it more of a GPP focus or is it?
It's all the above. That's kind of like, so it goes in phases, but you got to think like your overall main commander's intent is get stronger. The beginning of the phase is restore range of motion, restore schedule, because you guys
Mm,
just weren't in a schedule. You were gone for maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending on when the bowl game was.
range
So
of
get back
motion
into
is
structured training,
underrated.
get back into, moving your body again, and it's increasing work capacity for those first 2 weeks. Then once that you've reestablished your habits and your foundations of getting back in the room, then yes, we're going to just go chase strength. And so for anybody listening, what strength actually means is heavy weights lifted maybe reps less. Like, you need to be putting heavy weight on the bar. Strength and conditioning, we are not doing what, Elon Musk and SpaceX is doing, catching rockets that are skyscrapers from the building. If it's heavy, it's few reps. If it's light, it's either fast or it's multiple reps. And so it's going to be heavyweight, few reps, more rest, so that way you can breathe like we talked about, and you can get your recovery, and you can, even eat or drink something in between your sets, so that way you're recovered and you can keep lifting that heavy weight, so you can help your muscles, skeletal, your muscles, whatever, however people want to hear it, your muscles, your tendons, you need to get them strong and durable, because when you go and run and you change direction, you play, they get stiffer. Well, now when you lift, you can help that pliability for your tendons to become slightly less stiff. They still need to be that balance of stiff and strong. And you are continuing to emphasize and train that during the winter. And then towards the end of it, you have to then be able to get in shape and handle the amount of volume that spring ball will be.
It's always the fun part for the specialists, get in shape for
Nothing.
nothing. What does spring ball look like finally on this? We shift into spring ball. They're now practicing. I think they actually moved it to a schedule of every other day. I saw.
That's what it
So
used to be. So we used to lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, practice.
no. For the practice,
It was Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is what it used to be.
was it always?
Mhm.
Man,
So
my memory is just shot. I always thought we went Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
no, maybe we did. I could be wrong.
I think I'm wrong.
I could be wrong. You might be right. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe I blacked it out.
Regardless, it's this year it is the every other day schedule. They go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I think you are right.
Maybe that's what we did at Towson. That's why I thought about it. I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
I saw the schedule this year and I thought, man, I'm pretty sure we used to go 2 days in a row, break on Friday, and then go Saturday.
You know what? I think that does sound right now that you say it.
But then, that's 3 days of practice. Again, that is the focus. What does the weight room look like, and what's the focus shift to as far as that goes?
Hmm. The reason I'm pausing is
What should it look like?
so what it should look like is Mondays need to be you got to sneak in another day of recovery. So
Mm,
Mondays, for me, and what we did was we called it our bulletproofing day. I don't like the word corrective exercise. We bulletproofed, and it was
I love bulletproof.
low CNS. We addressed ankles, knees, hips, low back, shoulders, and necks. And it was a long warm up, get you sweating, good music, like just feeling like, hey,
Fill
Saturday was an awful practice.
Yep.
Sunday, you recovered. Monday, let's get the good juju flowing even more.
Fill your cup day.
Correct. Because then Tuesday, you got practice again.
Yeah.
But now your nervous system is back in that, fight or flight again. So then Wednesday, you're not able to truly follow the high-low model, because you still have to place some stress on the athlete. So Wednesday was our high day. Now the volume would be turned down, but the intensity would be cranked up, and we would still never lift heavier than 90% in season, because spring ball and the in season 90% really does feel like 100% with all the weight that they do. So, and if we did, we'd kind of trick them with like, all right, if we wanted to really lift something heavy, we would go hand supported, so that way we could overload their nervous system without
Yeah.
actually, you know what I mean? Like, we'd trick them that way, or with
Yeah.
accommodating resistance. And then Thursday they'd have another practice, but then Friday would be dynamic effort in style, where it's like, hey, we're not, you didn't come here to lift weights, you came here to play football. And so let's again kind of a more aggressive bulletproof, but that was the upper body day for us. So we would do our bench press, we would do our rows, our pull-ups, more torso work, because you could do that and then you feel really good going
Yeah.
into that scrimmage. Because
Yeah.
remember, everything we do is to help you play football.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how it should look.
But what if I want to have a high 1 rep max, Justin?
As long as it does not interfere with your ability to play football,
What if I want to squat 750?
then go be a power lifter with Ray Williams.
Yeah, go to
Because that guy is impressive.
go to West Side. Or take drugs. Drugs will get you there too.
They all do.
Yeah. There you go. Little spring ball.
Yeah, we definitely went. We went Monday, Wednesday, Friday at Towson, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
That's how I think you should do it. I think
That was it was really awesome. And like, so now anybody listening to it, I did not always, I had the epiphany of, wait a minute. And I went to my staff. I was like, hey, if we do this on Monday, we kind of give them 2 days off in a row. And they essentially, like, if we get off the field, if we still, because we practice early in the morning, that's why the AD hired me, was to bring that schedule. I'm like, if we get off the field by 11 on Saturday and don't get back on the field till 8 on Tuesday, like, we're doing our job, especially because our coaches we'd scrimmage hard, right? Like, kind of like the boys, they're 9 on 7 blocks. Like they're going to be, they're in it, you know. 23B is probably the first play call. So.
It's on the script, man. It's on the script. What is it today? Is it Thursday? Oh yeah. Somebody right now.
Somebody is
right now.
Yeah.
As we record this thing, someone's running their head into somebody else.
Bring your backside knee, run your knee to crotch.
Have you seen any of the Fresno State social media clips of Brian?
I've reposted and said good, like, bro, wishing him nothing but luck.
I clicked on one, it came across my feed, the algorithm just knows. And it's because I don't follow the Fresno State stuff.
Same. I didn't either. Yeah.
And I hear, run your knee, run your knee. And I'm like, shit, there it is.
There he is.
Same thing. It makes you realize, like, okay, guy is literally just born and bred Iowa Hawkeye, played, coached. And then the whole thing happens with, he gets let go. And then you just realize, like, they just want to coach football, man.
That's it.
They just want to fucking coach football. And that's who they are. They're just football guys. And they're just grind. I love seeing it. It's fun.
Which to that point, I do hope, and I've said it before. I mean, I hope Coach Doyle's able to do it again. Like
for sure,
to be able to do the thing that you love and we're really good at. Like, so I'm happy to see Brian out there. Like I said, it's funny. I don't follow Fresno State.
Yeah,
either, so.
But it comes across. It's like the Brian, and they know that it's gonna hit too because it's like everyone.
My wife went to school there, so that's also
Fresno State. Really?
GA 2 years.
Wow.
That's how I got connected with Moses Cabrera, who's Bill Belichick's head strength coach. Because of her. They work together.
Well, how about that? There you go. Coach Lima always bringing the heat. Got to vent a little bit on the 1RM too. I feel like we did.
Thank you everybody for, like, I should be thanking you for my therapy session.
We did a little therapy. I'll send you the bill, invoice you. I'll invoice Strength Coach Network. For any strength coaches out there, Strength Coach Network. That's our third sponsor today. Shout out to everybody for listening. We'll be back again soon. I don't know where this is going. We're gonna have a couple more player interviews here coming up. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we'll see you then. Peace.